dear, my people. You know it is Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you with another one. And this one is House of the Dragon. We have seen all of the pictures that have been released, and now we're going to break down the pictures, but not just break down the pictures and tell you what they're doing in them. We're going to talk about the costumes in those pictures and the hairstyles and everything that means. So I can't do that alone. So as always, when it's time to do something with costumes, I have to bring in the professionals. And that is Heidi from Costume Co. Hello, Heidi. Welcome.
Hi, Tony. Really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
And the one and only from Puerto Rico, Tatiana Melendez. What's going on, shorty?
Hi, Tony. How are you?
I
don't know what the hell that accent was, but let's just go with it.
It works. All right, we're going to go through all these pictures, and we're going to start right after this. What up to all my thugs, nerds, geeks, and freaks out there? Let's say what up to some of the people in the chat. We got Miss Duncan Atoll in the building rocking with us. We got Cam Can over here rocking with us. Hannibal is in the building rocking with us. Celebrity Bikini is up in here. My man Q is up in the building. Quentin is in the building. Georgie Jedi is in the building. You know what I mean? We are up here doing this thing. We got Confessor Oak is in the building. AK-47 is up in here. Is rocking with us. We also have the one and only the Dragon Demands is in the building and everything else. So listen, we got a lot of people in here, and thank you all for joining us this early afternoon. I don't know exactly how long we'll be on here doing this stuff. And as always, holding down the Gazette for the design is OTDA, the mod extraordinaire. All right, so I don't know how long we'll be up here doing this, and you know how much we got, but we have seen some pictures. I'll go around the horn with you ladies first. When you seen these pictures, obviously it's not great quality, but were you happy? Did it get you excited just to see that, you know, a Game of Thrones show was really back, truly in production?
I was happy that, you know, they actually came through on their promise and didn't just cancel it midway. They're actually like filming it as opposed to, you know, the other ideas they had. And I mean, I love me some Matt Smith. He's fabulous. And so far, from the picture, I can see that he kind of has like that energy. I still have to see how he acts because, you know, I have high expectations. Like, it's hard not to have high expectations with a show even remotely associated with GOT, the later seasons notwithstanding. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that it's actually in production. The costumes themselves will talk about.
Yes, we will. All right, Heidi, what about you? It's in production. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, well, I was saying online, I don't, it's hard to sort of judge something for me. I tend to not like to do that. I think that was my first reaction is like, I feel kind of unfair judging this based on a photo. It's not a very high quality photo. But at the same time, it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Everyone's chatting. I did find it interesting, though, that there are so many leaked photos. I'm almost like thinking maybe this was intentional because with the, you know, D&D version, everything was so tight and locked down. So I found that a little surprising that there are so many leaked photos.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of shooting outside in public, and when you do that, I like some of the people I've seen that's doing these photos. They're like on like surfboards and in the water, and they're taking it from the water. There's nothing you can't stop that. Like there's nothing you can do unless you have some type of Navy ship that's going to sink them out there. But besides that, you know, he's got and they're very in Europe. Let me tell you about Europeans, man. They're very aggressive. Like when they want to get something, they're gonna get it, and that's the way they go. Even if they had to have their own personal submarine, I think they would have a submarine and take pictures from a sub if they really had to do it, or they were come from a hot air balloon or parachute out to take these pictures if they truly had to do it. Europeans, because they're about that life and everything else. But I thought, you know, it really did my heart well to see them, as Tatiana said, actually filming the show, because when they were doing the, you know, the one with the children of the forest, and they did that one pilot episode, that not one picture came out from the pilot episode. You didn't see anything about it. You just heard about it, and the next thing you know, before you can even see anything, it was canceled. So just to see them, you know, it's just like back on set. It's like, to me, it's kind of like when you see like when they started filming Star Wars again. You say, "Oh my God, the Star Wars is starting," and the leaked photos come out of that. It gives me that feeling and everything else. So I'm very happy to see them doing their thing out there and really portraying them. And I like to see them in costume, because a lot of people said Matt Smith couldn't pull this off. A lot of people said Emma Darcy ain't good looking enough to play this role. Now, this is what they said, and I told people, I said, wait until they got in costume before you judge what they look like and how they are. So these are character actors they're bringing in, people who transform themselves into these roles. So let's see what they can do when they end. And I said, if you've ever seen that Matt Smith play Charles Manson, I said, that's not the same character he's playing when he's in The Crown. It's a totally different character. He was able to pull them both off and all that. So, let's just...
Yeah, actually, I have to say one thing about that, Tony, because when I saw that movie, I didn't even know that was Matt Smith, who was Charles Manson, because I saw that movie and I had no clue. I don't know if you, was it Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the name of the movie where he plays Charles Manson?
Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't even know, so kudos to him about that.
Yeah, Sarah says, I'm confident in Matt Smith's range. I'm with you and everything else like that. Dragon Demand says, Emma doesn't look like a Targaryen, and Amelia doesn't either. She wears a wig. Yeah, it's all about the makeup team and everything else, and the props that they're using and everything else that helps pull off these looks and everything, and that's it. All right, so we have Heidi has pictures, right?
I don't have pictures. Was I supposed to bring pictures?
Oh, I can grab pictures. Let me
I was like, great, I can just hop on today and
Oh, all right.
Not do anything.
You're usually the
I'm not doing
slideshow
anything.
person. You're usually the big slideshow person. I can grab.
I know. I'm so sorry, Tony.
That is quite all right. I can grab some up real fast. Right. I know the Dragon Demand posted a couple on his.
Yeah.
Site.
I just wanted to say to everyone, so last night, the Dragon Demands, I watched his video because, he's always he's kind of like the industry guy. Like, he's like, okay, always on top of what's going on. So he pointed me to the pictures originally. And while you're doing that, Tony, I just wanted to say that in the meantime, Tatiana, if anybody doesn't know, she's my fellow Game of Queens. Like, we have a show that we do together where we wear crowns. And so if any of you come on our channel, you'll know her. But what happened was she messaged me on Facebook and she said, hey, have you seen this? And I said, oh, yeah, actually I did, because the Dragon Demands tagged me. And when I said to her, what are your thoughts? And so, Tatiana, what were your you told me what your initial thoughts were about that.
I wanted to love it. I really did. But I just felt disappointed because it's like, they had this chance. I mean, of course, I can't speak for the entire wardrobe. Maybe this is just like a one-off thing, and they'll go butts bananas with the rest of the wardrobe. But as of now, I am disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
and I hope the Dragon Demand doesn't mind. I mean, put it on Twitter, so I hope it doesn't mind me showing these pictures. This is from his Twitter channel, so definitely check him out on Twitter, and its link is definitely in the description.
I don't think he minds because he actually shared them with you. So hopefully you don't mind the dragon. One of the things I noticed about Emma, though, because I've seen her show, was it Ghost Hunters or the other show she does where she's, she's got the bangs, and that show's actually been canceled. But one of the things I did notice in profile, she does have like what George, I think, would describe as an aquiline nose, like a little bit of so she actually has a very nice profile. I really like that. So I think as soon as I saw it, I said right away to the dragon that I felt like it's kind of riffing off of Michelle, like immediately. Michelle Clapton, who is the Game of Thrones costume designer for 8 seasons. She didn't do season 6, I think, but she came back at the end. And so immediately that was my first impression, especially with Matt Smith's costume. So I kind of had an initial reaction, kind of like Tatiana. And maybe because, we look at it from a costume lens, I just had higher expectations that what I'm seeing here. But to be fair, I feel it's a little unfair to judge it based on a photo, like low res photo on a beach exterior. It would be the same if they had showed us a picture of Danny and John on the beach. I think like in season 6.
Yeah,
or 7.
we could talk about Matt. We'll get to him.
Sure.
Let's talk about this hair right now. So, the wigs? Does the costume person, are they in charge of the hairs? Is that a different place?
That's
It's a
that's a different department.
Different.
Yeah.
The hair and makeup department, it works in conjunction with costume, but they're a separate department because if the costume designer worked on both, she will go crazy and probably murder everyone. So
Okay.
There are
so-
times sometimes when the costume designer will have a say in the wigs. But yeah, generally speaking, like Tatiana was saying, so in the original Game of Thrones, you'd have a separate makeup artist, you have a separate wig artist, and you'd have a separate costume designer. So Jenny, who is the costume designer, she might have had some say in the wigs, but mostly she would just be dealing with like jewelry
Mhm.
and anything below the neck kind of thing.
All right, and we do have some earrings, and as we pointed out, that, no earrings were wore in Game of Thrones whatsoever. They never wore earrings, but they do have her in earrings here, and that's something special. And I'm glad that they did that. The thing I was concerned about was the actual this hairstyle here, the braids, because I always thought that Danny did the braids because she was with the Dothraki people, who are more ethnic people, and they had their hair braided, and that's why they had braids. But it seems that the old Targaryens must just braid their hair natural. How do you like the look of this wig right here?
I like the hairstyle. The wig I'm not super sure of, but I do like the hairstyle. I like that big brown braid donut because I just like braids. Thanks to Game of Thrones, actually, I like braids.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Tatiana. Yeah, no, I was going to say, and there we do have established braids other than Danny in the court, like Cersei wore braids through several seasons. She'd wear them on the side like this. She'd wear them up here. So for sure,
There's
in the
also like Sansa because
Sansa.
there are types of braids. I would say it's more reminiscent of Sansa's style because she had like the French braids or the Dutch braids, whereas Cersei, she had more of the rope braid that are like much easier to do and have like a different style. I've researched a lot of braids in my life right now.
Yeah, and so I know in the Dragon he was talking about how it's mentioned in the book. The one thing is that usually when you see illustrations of Rhaenyra, she has like a long braid down here, and that's kind of really more like a ponytail or maybe a super soft braid. But she's got the coil, which is medieval, right? That's sort of like when you look at medieval paintings.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
even Princess Leia. I mean, that is the buns that she wears is a medieval sort of style of like a caul that you would wear on the side of your head, or so that's just a commonly done medieval style of hair.
There's also like the style of the braid is very different to Danny's because if you notice Danny's braids, they always start from here and go backwards. Whereas here is the donut is basically it's most likely like a ponytail was made in top of the hair, and then the braid was coiled around it, and then comes the rest. So it gives you like a different style of braiding. So and like I think Dragon Man said in the comments, Rhaenyra, she fashions herself after Visenya, and Visenya was known for her extensive braids.
Yeah. And then the difference with Danny is Danny's braids were actually sort of her battles too, right? She wore her battles into her braids. So every battle one, she would have a different braid for that based off of the Dothraki. So whereas I think this is just for really like beauty. As opposed to
I think that she looks great. Yeah, like I would when you look at the whole thing about Emma Darcy and people saying this thing, the thing to me about it is that, she has such short hair in all the movies you see. And you see it in like these cuts, and you say, "Oh, she's," people saying, "Oh, she's not attractive enough to play this role." But here, she looks good. That doesn't look like her to me. Like if you put her picture up there and put this right here, I wouldn't have thought that was the same woman. And just from a hairstyle, you get that look. So I thought that she did. I think I like the hair. I like what they're doing with it. And I'll pull that down for a second. But yeah, I think they'll pull up another picture. I think they're doing a very good job with the hair and stuff. there.
Yeah, one thing I noticed though too is, and again, it's hard to tell without a close up, is it doesn't look like she's wearing makeup. So they're doing sort of again back to that Danny, like the no makeup, Tatiana.
The natural makeup.
The natural makeup. So she doesn't have, it doesn't look like she has lipstick or eye makeup.
Yeah,
at
because
all.
they seem like medieval times, and medieval times the makeup wasn't, super ultra wow. That comes more into being with like the Tudor era. No, sorry, not the Tudor era.
Renaissance?
Yeah, the Tudor era. Yeah, with with Henry VIII and especially Elizabeth.
All right, so now we have a picture of the lower half, I would say, of her dress here. And so can you get a good look at it, or you need me to make it bigger?
I've seen these. Yeah, I've seen these photos before. So one of the things, obviously the first thing you kind of notice is that she's wearing her house colors.
Jesus Christ, I messed up.
I like it.
She's wearing, her house colors. Okay, so the dragon said he thought it was burgundy. I think it's actually like a taffeta, like a two-tone taffeta. Like there's something called shot taffeta, which depending on the light. So it's possible it's shot taffeta of red and purple, like he mentioned, because she loved purple and velvet. But I do think it's taffeta, and then of course underneath it she's wearing the crimson, which is the color of the House Targaryen.
Now, taffeta is a color you're talking about here?
Taffeta is a type of fabric. It's usually kind of like a slightly lustrous sort of type of fabric.
Yeah, it's like kind of thicker.
The sheet, the black part, that's the taffeta that we're talking about. Is that what that is over top of it?
Not the front part, but the skirts itself.
The overdress.
The overdress, yeah. No, the dragon, I thought you did a good job of that, actually. He's just commenting. He said purple and maroon.
Yeah, it works. I do like the fabric. I love me a good two-shot fabric, and it does look like a maroon with black, which is good for Rhaenyra. And I do appreciate what looks like embroidery, because once again, I love me some embroidery. Thanks to Game of Thrones, I love me some embroidery. What I am disappointed by is the style, because it's so similar to the original show. And the thing is, this is three centuries before the show.
By two centuries.
3 centuries. I've heard both. But basically, it's been centuries before the actual show. And like, think, for example, us against 200 years ago, the fashions were horrendously different. Like that, and there might be like pieces of that long ago time that have survived time to this day, like empire waistlines, or frilly sleeves, or puffy sleeves. That there are elements that survive that into now, but it's still very different. And even in the medieval times, when fashion traveled more slowly, fashion evolved more slowly. Like 13th century Europe looks vastly different than 15th century Europe or 16th century Europe. So it's like, why does this look so similar especially with the Targaryens, that you have very little frame of reference in, were the Targaryens? Because in the show, the only Targaryens we had were Dany, Viserys, a little bit of Rhaegar, and a little bit of the Mad King. That's the only 4 people that you saw Targaryens, and it was not enough reference of mine to give you like the entire wardrobe of the dynasties. They could have gone so buck wild with the fashions of the Targaryens, but it just looks so samey, especially Daemon. Daemon looks like
we'll talk about Daemon when we look at it.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
realize I mean, Tatiana and I are looking at this as under a different lens. So for people who are in the chat, like you guys are like, you have to realize that Tatiana and I have broken down the entire Game of Thrones season, episode by episode. So we're looking at this through a different lens. So I think the average person is going to look at this and say, I think this is really good. Like, I like it. But for us, when we've actually analyzed the costumes to the extent that we have, we're going to be looking at this in a much different way. So the same with how you might be looking at story, Tony, or you might be looking at the editing or something like that. Tatiana and I are looking at first. So we're not trying to be hypercritical here. We're just pointing out what we think from our own observations. And I absolutely agree with Tatiana. I would have loved to, what happens for me is I always want to be surprised, and I don't feel surprised here. And I had the same issue with the last seasons of Game of Thrones. I felt like Michelle was kind of calling in a lot of the design, and she wasn't coming up with anything new. She just was regurgitating the silhouettes. And I'm like, this is a really basic, super basic silhouette. There's nothing for me that's exciting about it. And I know the dragon mentioned that he thought that was mirrorish lace, perhaps, that's being used. It doesn't look like mirrorish lace to me personally. I mean, what is mirrorish lace? Like, I mean, we don't even know what it is. But this looks like some type of metallic mesh beaded, embroidered fabric. Who knows, right, Tatiana?
Yeah. And like the outfit itself is not bad. It's not. Let me just really, it is not bad. It is pretty. She looks pretty in it, and you can see that it's made of poly materials and there's a lot of detail in it. That's great, but it's like, come on, people, you have centuries and countries worth of history and style and fashion. It's like, can you imagine if they had used fashions from like the Minoan civilization or a Chinese dynasty like the Han, the Tang dynasties, whose fashions were amazing, or like Viking, or like, or just like a mesh of different cultures and different fashions throughout the ages. It's like that's actually what I do when I design a Game of Thrones inspired costume. Why? Because Game of Thrones inspired me to think that way, to think, oh, what if I grab this Mongolian outfit and try to mesh it with this Grecian outfit that has absolutely nothing to do with, because they're like two dynamic opposites, because one is like super thick and the other one's super light, and try to like push them together and see what the hell happens there. And that's so fun. And that's what's amazing about costume. So when you have the opportunity to get creative with this costume, instead, when you make it look so much like the previous show, which is like centuries in the future, it just feels like it's lazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I'll say that this is the reason why both of you are on, because you are costume experts, right? This is what your profession is. So that's what we're looking for here. It's expert, because I can't give you the same analysis. I'm not a man. I'm a man. I'm not into women's clothing like that. And I can't really give you. But I can tell that it looks just like Game of Thrones. Now, we talked about the woman who's a costume designer. She's very credited. We did a video on her and her background. Yeah. Why do you think that she just said, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type situation? Why do you think she didn't go all out? I mean, the budget's there, guaranteed. So why did you think she just went with the same look? Are they trying to connect the shows to make people feel attached to Game of Thrones? Is that, you think, the reason why they did that and did the same style?
Yeah. Well, Tatiana, let me just speak on that for a second. Okay. Sorry. I was going to say, so Tony, I was on with you last time, I think what it is, and we talked about this, that Jenny was brought in, but the showrunners said that they wanted to keep it within the same world, right? And so I think, like you're saying, that they want to have people connected to the other world that we had. And I mentioned that I thought they might have brought Michelle in as a consultant. Although looking at this, they may not have. They've just, like, I don't know, probably looked at her designs. So it's possible that Jenny didn't have any say in it. It's possible that the showrunners decided this for her. Sorry, go ahead, Tatiana.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say basically the exact same thing that you did. Like, as much as we like to think that designers have like this creative direction, this creative ownership of the designs. No,
Bring it to my week.
they go with what the directors say. Even if they don't agree with it, if they don't necessarily agree with it, because maybe Jenny, she had all these crazy fabulous costume ideas, but the production said no, we wanted to look like this costume design from Michelle Platten, because we wanted to tie it with the world of the original show, because people need views, and we need views, and people will associate it and other stuff. But yeah, the oftentimes the costume designer is at the mercy of first a director and second the actor.
Yeah,
because the actors has a lot of input, which
we do have a top hat. I don't know if y'all can see it, but we do have the top back of that dress. Can you give me a breakdown of exactly what we're looking at here? What's going on in that back?
Go ahead, Heidi.
Oh, well, yeah, it's just like there's a panel that's put in there. So like, you know, kind of, it may be applied or it may be seamed. I'm not sure, but it's just continuing on whatever that beading, embroidery, mesh, whatever is on the front, which, and there, I do like the collar though, Tatiana. It's kind of like a little bit like Queen. It's a queenly type collar,
Yeah,
right? That sort of like stand up.
Like a high back collar, like kind of like, what's her name? Oh God, was it the Evil Queen from Snow White? I think she had something like that.
Yeah.
Like, see, but
yeah,
like,
which is sort of as a Tudor style. Like, and I totally agree with what Tatiana says. I mean, there's so many centuries to pull from. There are so many cultures to pull from. Michelle did that. She did a great job of that. I mean, like Queen Amidala, like one of her most recognized costumes of all time with the coil things. That is actually a Tibetan folk costume that she was inspired by. I mean, maybe it's culturally appropriated, but like when you see that, you're like, oh my God, that's Queen Amidala. You know it right away. Whereas this, I'd be like, if I showed this to the average person, I don't know that the person would know who this person is. Maybe they would.
Yeah. So do you like what they did with the top of the costume?
Again, it's pretty. It's nice. The color is pretty. The costume is detailed. I can see the detail in the beading sparkling even from way over there, and she looks good.
And the earring, you like the earrings? So you like the fact that they're using earrings now?
I'm glad that they're using earrings, because yeah, that was like, girl, why are you using earrings? Like, what? Like it felt like I don't know, like maybe Michelle Platten or the directors felt like, oh, too much femininity is not a good thing, especially towards the second half of the series. It's like, oh no, like that's too feminine. That's not enough, because like the only ones I think wore earrings are probably Marjorie. And
she didn't wear earrings. Actually, you know, I was actually interesting because the dragon mentioned that, and I thought back about it. I'm like, oh no, that's true. There was no earrings at all. He said there's one mention in the book about Sansa wearing earrings, moonstones, but there's no mention in the books. But George doesn't tend to talk a lot about the costumes. Like he just sort of puts a little bit in there. He mentions Samite a lot.
It was like, oh my God, what was I going to say? Jesus Christ. Sorry. Yeah, Martin only really references and details costumes when it's like important for the plot, for the story, like Sansa's hairnet and the purple wedding that contained the poison. Like that was very detailed from what I've read.
Yeah, he talks a lot about samite, which is this medieval fabric. I actually had to look it up. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. It's this like very, very heavy type of fabric that was popular in the medieval period. But I noticed he sprinkled it throughout because I guess he thought, well, this is sort of medieval. I'll put that in there. But he doesn't really talk about fabrics too much. He talks about the Moorish lace. Which, as the dragon mentioned, quite a bit, which again, I don't even know what it looks like. I did a video about it and I thought it might be kind of like a Venetian lace or a Chantilly lace or bobbin lace. I have no idea. We don't even know what it is actually.
I see. I'm going to pull up pictures of your boy Matt Smith and and talk about him in a second. If I could find a good shot of him.
But regarding the earrings, I'm actually happy to see that she's wearing earrings. I don't know really the purpose why there would be no earrings. It just seems really strange. People have been piercing their ears, for thousands of years. So it just seemed like an odd thing that not one person, even a man, would be wearing earrings. You would think that someone would have been wearing earrings. So that was just a.
I could honestly see Littlefinger wearing like an earring.
An earring, exactly. Or Dario, Naharis,
definitely Dario.
Definitely.
He was wearing all the earrings, like all the piercings everywhere.
Totally. So it just seemed to me strange that they made that decision. It's the same with like in the North, Michelle decided that no one would wear jewelry in the North, that they would only wear the padded collars. So, a couple of pirates are.
That's not a really close up shot of it. I hope you can see it, but I think you've already seen this man's costume and stuff. This costume to me is exactly the same as we've seen in Game of Thrones. Like there's no difference. Going from the jacket to the boots to the actual hairstyle, the Targaryen mullet that he's rocking, and I'll try to get a better close up. Now I understand that. Listen, boots are boots. Jackets are jackets and pants are pants. But 200 goddamn years, there has to be something different about it. Or you just can't do I mean, some things work. Like a pair of sneakers is a pair of sneakers. But if you look at sneakers that came out in the 80s compared to sneakers today, you could see that there's a tremendous difference in them. Whether it's the material it's made out of or whatever or the styling of it. It's always things that change up. So what do you think they should have done with this costume to make it, their own and still have, I guess they think that looks cool. So they said, hey, we like that. Let's just run with that again. Why? I mean, we discussed why they would do, but what do you think they could have done to change it somewhat, because it looks exactly the same of what we've seen.
Well, I would have tossed this whole look out like right away.
Yes, absolutely.
And done something completely different. They could have done like hanging sleeves. They could have done like, I don't know, like a doublet. They could have done a tunic. I don't know. They could have done all kinds of different things.
They could have done like Italian Renaissance with
Italian Renaissance sleeves.
Like,
absolutely.
Oh my God, there's so much they could have done. Like I told Heidi how amazing would it have been if they went into like Indian fashion. Like I know they went into Indian fashion for Dorne, but like there are so many different Indian fashions that they could have pulled from like Indian mythology. They could have done or they could have like maybe like mixed Indian fashion with like Chinese fashion mixed with like a European Italian Renaissance fashion, and like took these pieces and see how they fit in, and just created like this thing, this chimera of fabulousness. But no, he just looks like Viserys stayed in Westeros.
One of the things I was going to say is it is actually, in my humble opinion, this looks more like Tywin Lannister to me. And I'm saying that because it's symmetrical. Like it has the center front closing with the three clasps, which is a Lannister look, which I thought that was kind of weird because actually like Viserys and Rhaegar actually wear kind of that left over right kind of asymmetrical style. But what she has done that's different is she's put a skirt on it as opposed to just having it go straight down with the side panels. So, which is 18th century. And this is like a really boring look that we see in so many shows. Like, it's just like, okay, it's got the stand-up collar. It's got the epaulettes on the shoulder, which again is like a Lannister thing. It's got the contrasting sleeves, which is like we saw on Tyrion. He's got the scale sleeves, and then he's got the, I don't know. I'm kind of like, it's just, for me, it's really boring. And then he's wearing leather pants, knee-high boots.
And the same goddamn wig.
And the same wig.
Like that wig will never die.
Yeah, that wig is terrible. That Targaryen, as I said, hairstyles change. And the Targaryen mullet has been in style, obviously, over 200 years straight. That's the only hairstyle they know. I'm going to pull up something real quick, if I can.
Sure.
And you tell me if you think that something like this would have been better. From what y'all had said, I tried to look up some stuff real quick, and you tell me if they would have went something. Yeah, not exactly the same exact, but maybe they could have took something from it. Let's go right here. How about this? All right.
Yeah.
What about that right there?
Well, that's a gambeson, and we do see that actually in Game of Thrones. So Jon Snow wore this type of thing underneath his armor. But yeah, like just anything different. Like, but that's like the left over right type of, asymmetry that we saw. I love the asymmetry actually in the Targaryens, and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't kind of carry that through if they were going to be kind of copying what Michelle did. And I just want to say, as someone was mentioning that there's only 2 clasps, there's one at the throat and then there's 2 more. Just I looked at another picture where you could see it. But yeah, it's just like, I just feel like I kind of wonder, like when Michelle sees this, what she would be thinking. She'd be like, "Oh my God, like, are you guys not even doing something different?"
I'm surprised if she sued. If she sued the show for plagiarizing her goddamn designs.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, maybe they paid her out. They might have paid her out and said, "Listen, Michelle, we're going to be using some of your silhouettes." So they might have given her some money, because I thought she might have been brought in as a consultant, but I would be really mad if I were her, having seen that, be like, "Oh my God, could they not come up with something different than I did?" Like, she created all of these worlds. When in season 1, she spoke with I think it's Frank Dougler or something, who is the producer, and he said, "Michelle, I think the best way to tackle this is to come up with a unique look for every area of Westeros and beyond." And that's what she did. She pulled from all kinds of different cultures, and you can trash D&D if you want, but they helped with that, and I think she did an amazing job. And then so here we're having I don't know, it just feels regurgitated to me, and I feel bad because I'm making these judgments without seeing the show first, which is unfair, but this is all I have to kind of go with. So that's what I'm saying about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, I have like an idea to do costumes for like the Valyrian Freehold, and you know how many fan art they depict the Valyrians in like Grecian style clothing, right? Well, but I had this idea. Instead of making the costumes based on like ancient Greece or ancient Rome, how about modeling it after the Minoan civilization? Because out of any civilization in the world, the Valyrians are most like the Minoans, because the Minoans were an ancient civilization who have been lost to time. Almost nothing is left except maybe like a few ruins. Like they used to be like a great flourishing seafaring civilization that like controlled the Mediterranean before they were destroyed by a volcano. Hint hint. And there are mosaics in Crete that there are Minoan that still depict like the fashions they had, and they had like this really interesting fashions. Like the women, they would have like this skin tight kind of top with the boobs hanging out. It was a style.
Tony would have loved that.
Yeah, that would work.
And then the dress, the skirts were made out of different panels of different colors, and it was like, oh my God! And like, I have never, ever have seen a show ever even attempt to model or fashion a costume after that civilization, even though from the few little things that we have of them, it looks amazing, and the hair was done with pearls, and the men wore virtually nothing except like a thong.
I don't need to see that.
Tony says he does. Yeah, Tony doesn't want to see that.
Something better than that, than a man thong.
Well, they wore like the man thong to like compete in like a bull. I think that they jumped bulls. Like they did like a bull will run at them and they would jump over the bull. I think that was like a sport of theirs, and that's what they would wear. It was like a competition of strength and ingenuity kind of thing. And it's like, why
what,
right there.
what about something like this? This to me, still looks regal. It's a different
Oh
style.
yeah.
This
Uh,
is 15th century, you think, Heidi? Like
I think, yeah, I
15th?
think it's 1600s. It's like a musketeer. That's a doublet, and then he's got the lace and everything. And that's the other thing that's really funny is like, we're talking about the lack of lace, and I think the dragon talked about this, but lace was a way for people to show their wealth, right? Like they would wear their wealth oftentimes on their bodies, and so lace would have been because it would have been very, very expensive. So yeah, men would have had lace collars, they would have had lace cuffs, they would have had lace even on their knickers, and sort of like Louis the 14th or Louis the 15th, that type of thing. And so there's so many cultures to draw from. Even like, Michelle would riff off of Alexander McQueen. And Tatiana and I have discussed this at length. One of the costumes that Marjorie Terrell wore in season 2 was the burrito dress, right? That was sort of inspired by Alexander McQueen. And, Tatiana knows I'm not a fan of it, but I do agree with what she said was at least Michelle went for it, right? She was just like, at least she went for it. She was like, I'm going to try something totally crazy. And it was this crazy, like wrap burrito, Chesterfield type
It's like
dress.
supposed to be like kind of like hourglass shaped.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And it was kind of open at the top, and she had these like really heavy kind of trim on it. So I was like, I didn't like it, but I totally agree with what Tatiana said. At least she went for it. And she did that many, many times. And part of being a good designer, in my humble opinion, is convincing production, convincing the showrunners, convincing the directors that we need to do this. So for instance, with Danny's white coat, which, I complained, like, why isn't Danny wearing something warm when she's on the dragon, for the love of God? Michelle said, we've got to put her in a really heavy, furry coat. And Dave and Dan were like, she'll be like an angel kind of, coming to the rescue. And Dave and Dan were not sold on it at all. And she had to convince them because that's what her job is, to say, no, we have to put her in this outfit. It's very important to the story, and it's very important just from a, what do you call it? Like, just makes sense that she's on a dragon and it's freezing out. She has to be wearing something really warm. Now, not everyone loved it, but I'm going to tell you, because of that coat, she won an Emmy, because that's the episode they submitted for the Emmy. And because Danny was wearing that white winter coat with her white hair and looking like an angel coming out of the sky and landing and rescuing John and the group, that got her reward, whether you liked it or not.
Laughing at who?
All right, this is I guess a picture of Matt Smith,
Yep.
the top of the jacket and the Targaryen mullets, the hairstyle.
Oh my God,
I'll
Tony.
give you this: the jaw and the cheekbones are on point. Like,
Absolutely.
yes, man, give me that manly mandible.
You could cut yourself on those cheekbones.
Like butter.
Yeah, and he's got like no eyebrows, like, right? His eyebrows are extremely like
Very
thin.
pale.
Like
I'm very pale, very pale.
I think that's one thing that they've done differently. So for instance, Danny, she's got dark eyebrows because Emilia Clarke has dark eyebrows, but it looks like they might have lightened both him and Emma Darcy's eyebrows. I don't know it's hard to tell from the photos, but what I was going to say about this is basically Viserys's hair and then later Rhaegar's hair. So it's actually shoulder length, but they've pulled it back, right? Like it's being pulled back this way. They've left a little bit of a wisp. I don't know why they decided to copy it.
Also, if you think about it, it's also Ned Stark's hair, only platinum blonde.
It is. You're right.
Down to the hairstyle.
Yeah, and Arya as well. Arya had the same hairstyle. So it's basically in-world continuity. But again, it's supposed to be like 200 years before. So it just seems strange to me that, and why does it have to be shoulder length? Is it like, that seems to be gendered. Like, why can't he have long hair like Rhaenyra?
Yeah, or just why can't he have like a crew cut? Why can't why can't he have some sideburns, a beard? Stuff like you don't see these like things like that. Goatee. something going on
Oh,
besides.
an Abraham Lincoln beard. That would really look amazing.
You know, and it seems like all the Targaryens they put on here are like baby faced. They try to make it, clean shaven, baby face people. Like none of them can grow facial hair for some strange reason. Like they never show them with that, and I just think that they had a missed opportunity to do that with this look. I mean, maybe they'll change it up after a couple of seasons or stuff, but
Yeah, John said, "Why can't it be a mohawk?" I think that's the thing too. I don't know. Like George is a part of the showrunners, I believe. So there might have been some direction from him that he wanted them to be clean shaven. But I totally agree, Tony. It could have been anything. Like I would have loved to seen sort of like a Sting, like bleach blonde or white spiky style, like we see Sting would wear in the 80s. That would have been, or Billy Idol, even like a Billy Idol. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Or even if you had to have that goddamn wig, why not style it different? Maybe like getting some new braids, like kind of like, I mean, not Dothraki, yes, because they don't know Dothraki, but like giving some braids or like putting in a bun or I don't know,
it could have been totally different. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know if the hair people are the same, by the way. I do know this is just something I came across, that Simon Brindle, who is the armor maker for Game of Thrones, is back on this show. So that I thought was really interesting, that he's a huge Marvel guy now. So he's come back to do this show. There were a few leaks of the armor.
Yeah, I don't like the hair or the outfit. To me, it's just recycled. They could have did a much better job with it, in my opinion. That they dropped the ball with this. Now, listen, in the show, it may work and everything. It may work at that time, but to me, they dropped the ball. They could have did. I was expecting more. Just something different. I just don't expect the same thing year after year after year. If you just go back, we're in 2020. Let's go back to the 1970s. Pants are pants, shoes are shoes, but that fashion is different. It's not the same. No one will confuse it being the same. The hairstyles are different. Farrah Fawcett hairstyle and the braids look different. Everything looks different. And these fashion things do change from, a couple of years after a couple of years. But maybe, I guess, fashion may change from and they did that in Game of Thrones, and I like the way they did that, like when Cersei got her hair chopped off, and then you seen all of her hair maidens with the same hairstyle, like they copied her, because she set the trends out at there, so you would think that they would be the ones setting the trends. Now these people, it wouldn't be their fault, because this would be originally their style because they came before. It really would be the fault of the Game of Thrones people still using the exact same style that their ancestors did 200 years in the past. So it would be their fault more than these, because they're the original setting the style up. So, but I think they could have, did something better. I don't know if they, and as for the woman who they put on, I had really high expectations. Even when you looked at, and the artist guy who was drawing the concepts, when you looked at his design, there was nothing like this. It was a whole. He's done so much different work than what we're seeing here. It's like night and day. This is not what I expected to see this person come up with.
Yeah, and it looks like, this is so boring for me, but it looks like the sleeves, they've done the dragon scale, which is like, has seriously been done to death. But like, at least Michelle came up with some really, really original ways of doing the dragon scale, like Tatiana, like how she hired Michelle Carragher to come in and do, like, she did it with fabric and things like that, and different, like, really, whereas this looks just like a kind of a scale fabric they've used on the sleeves. It's just the dragon scale is just, for me, really done to death, and it's kind of boring. The other thing is, like when we saw Rhaegar and we saw Viserys, he always had the sigil kind of on, and there's no sign of that at all here as well.
Yeah, there's no, and they always had sigils and everything, whether it's Lannisters or the fish people, the Tullys, they had their sigil. Blackfish had his own special sigil. They did a lot of things there, and they didn't do it. And people say, good point. The flashback of the Mad King had him clean shaven. Yeah, all of the Targaryens are, for whatever reason, clean shaven. I don't know if they played
Even
for
though
George
in the
Steinbrenner.
book they were definitely not. Like
Yeah.
Aegon the Conqueror had a beard. Maegor had a beard. The Conciliator, the Harris the First, he had a beard that went longer and longer and longer until he was like the old man. He had like all the hair. That like you see like arts like art by a monk who was actually like what's the word commissioned by the author, by Martin, to draw these. The author gave him the description of the characters and he drew them, or they drew them. But you can see that almost all the men have, you know, goddamn beards. But for some reason in the show, they think, oh, they're blonde. They're like super blonde. They're like all the blondes. They're so blonde. They're blonde. So
And yeah, not
no
all of
beard.
them are the same type of blonde or white. Like they're all variations. Like Ashley Martin describes them in different kind of tones, whereas they seem to have gone with this consistent,
Yeah.
super blonde. Almost like vampire. Like there's a movie where they have these vampires with this color wig, which it's a really good vampire movie. I can't remember what it's called, but they kind of look like this. And I have a feeling, Tony, you'd asked this about the eye color. I have a feeling they're not going to do the tinted eyes as well.
Really?
I just have this feeling, because I'm thinking if they're going to keep with the consistency of the look from the original show, I just have this feeling they're not going to do it. What do you think, Tatiana?
I doubt it. I would like to. I actually saw a video of someone, I don't remember who, but they actually like took a scene from Dany. I think it was when she was conquering a city. When they do like the circle of slaves and she's like being risen up like woohoo, or her intro scene with Viserys. And they color corrected the eyes to look purple, and it looked amazing.
Yeah, it looked great in The Witcher. The Witcher
Oh,
did
in
a
The
great
Witcher.
job with it, and I'm sure that they have a much bigger budget than The Witcher. So there's no excuse to me if they don't do it. I'm going to slam them for not doing it, because it's really no excuse. It's not like they have to wear contacts like they had to do. They have technology now where they can do all that in post and put that in there, and
in Dune they're doing it and it looks amazing, because in the original Dune it was awful, right? It was pretty bad, but in the new Dune it looks amazing. In their eyes actually kind of glow a bit too, not just even that color, but there's a bit of a glow. So for sure, Tony, they could do it, but I have a feeling they won't, because it wasn't done in the original show and it won't have that continuity.
Yeah, I think they didn't do it in the original show because it would have taken too long, I guess. But
I guess original Amelia Clark didn't like wearing them. Something they like
it was
they had.
Okay.
to go in the desert heat to wear contacts.
Yeah, it was something wrong with her eyes or something like that, and everything else. But no, if you don't do it, to me, that's a very important part of who they are, and they're supposed to have the purple eyes, and if you're going to take away the purple eyes, you might as well take away the hair color too. I mean, it's just as iconic as the hair color. So why are you going to stick with that? Because it's easier to make a wig than it is to do the purple eye. It makes no sense. And I think that they actually took this wig from the Game of Thrones set and just put it on his head. I think they just plopped it right on this dude's head. And so
they're worth a lot of money.
I
know Amelia Clark's wig, I think, was worth something like $6,000. And there were 3. So it's possible they have taken the wigs from the original production and repurposed them, because they're so expensive.
And although like Matt Smith, I think he tweeted that, no, that's not Viserys' wig. Stop saying that it is. It's like,
that's
sure,
hilarious.
Sure.
They could have repurposed even the hair though, like, because it's just like it's human hair, right?
Yeah.
So she bought from India, and then they bleach it. So like, I can't. Why wouldn't they salvage the wigs from the original show unless they're on tour or something? But yeah, they're super expensive. But the lace looks pretty good. Like, they look like they fit fairly well. It's just, I think we're just talking about it from a design point of view. as
Yeah.
opposed to like, the world was their oyster and they could have taken from so many different, like Tony just showed a couple of examples there, or even like from the runway. A lot of designers borrow from the runway. There are so many amazing designers out there that you could just, borrow a bit of a silhouette and then just use different fabrics. So I just feel for me, it's not original and it's just kind of basic, as my kids would say.
All right, let's pull this up and see what happens. Hopefully, we don't get flagged for it, but we'll pull this up and maybe this will show it in a different light a little bit. Oh my God, what am I doing here?
So many buttons. That's what I always say, Tony.
Let's see.
By the way, I wanted to point out we're all wearing red.
All right,
we talked about it before we started the show. It's like a
we are
Targaryen.
And this was not planned, by the way. None of us planned to wear red. It was not.
We didn't talk to each other. I haven't seen this picture, I don't think. Oh, maybe I have.
This is a video.
This is a video.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
All right, here we go. Let's play. I think it's 26 seconds.
Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is he's wearing the belts exactly the same as all of Game of Thrones. Actually, Tatiana, remember I did a montage of all the belts worn in Game of Thrones? Everyone wears the exact same belt, tied the exact same way.
Basically.
Yeah.
Now, they use the broom to get rid of footprints, right? I mean.
Oh, is that what they do?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
That's what I think it is, to get rid of some of the footprints.
The other thing I was going to say, her shoes, maybe their boots, are so boring. They're just like flats. There's nothing to, like, Michelle always had really nice sort of like a spoon heel on her women, a little bit of a heel, always. So I don't know why.
Like Cersei's boots were like everything.
Beautiful. So these just look like flats to me. Maybe it's a height issue. They wanted her to be shorter than him.
Oh, she's just about the same height as him. He's short. He must be short. And I think that pose that she does is like her resting position. I don't think it seems like how people have like a comfortable position that they put their arms in. I think her putting her arms behind the back like that is her comfortable position, because she goes to it really fast. I would have to get a body language expert out there, but she goes right to that really fast.
I noticed that too. I think they're between takes here. I don't think they I don't think they're shooting at this point. So she's probably, like you say, she's in a comfort position between takes. Because also she's looking down, so she's sort of maybe keeping an eye on so she doesn't trip on her dress or something. It's interesting though. One of the things I was going to say is there's no wardrobe person. Usually around this type of thing, there's a wardrobe person who's hanging about just to make sure everything is fine continuity wise. So, and clean and free of dust and that type of thing. That's what I used to do. I used to be kind of jump in there and.
Yeah, when I see his outfit here, it looks even worse to me, because it looks exactly like something Ned Stark or someone would wear, like from the North or something. And it's like, and this is supposed to be like the heart that when they're at the height of their power, like they're the most richest they ever been at this particular time. They have the most dragons they've had. They should be, I think, like dripping with jewelry or something to show off that wealth. And I see nothing here that makes me think that this man is a wealthy individual at all.
He is ambitious. He's an ambitious man. Like, I think when his brother's baby, the first one, died, he was like, ha 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 ha, that's good. Maybe now I can have the crown. Ha 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 ha. He's like, what? That's what got him banished when the king heard of his brother bad mouthing his baby, his dead baby. It's like
OTDA said it's to be fair, it looks like it was shot on a potato.
We got a super chat here from Jenna. Thank you so much. She says,
that's lovely.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not crazy about any of this. I love the color palette, but everything else just feels lackluster to me. I think that's exactly what we've been saying, there's no pizzazz here, right? There's no game breaking thing. And What? I mean,
wonder.
we hear, like, when I go through history and everything else, especially kings and queens, and this is what they're supposed to be, part of the royal family. Whether they're king, they're still part of the royal family. The crown jewels are an important thing. Why wouldn't you have at least the women decked out, gold chains, tiaras, something, rings on your fingers? This is what you think that they wore back in the day. Pinky rings, something. I mean, there's not a drop of jewelry on these people.
Apparently, well, Emma's right here. She does have some type of necklace, and the dragon did mention she does have some rings, but it's so hard to see. But what I would have loved to have seen on Daemon is a cloak. I thought that would have been really great, and then have a brooch of, a sigil brooch. A clasp, like we saw all through Game of Thrones. Like even Viserys always had that kind of, like, he had sort of a half cape and then he'd have a brooch on it, or like a livery, which would be sort of a chain of order, maybe perhaps with some jewels on it. It could be like, a cloak with some like gold rope or something tying it together, kind of like the musketeer style. You'd wear it underneath and it would be lined red. Would have been really sexy, I think. But I don't know, it's just kind of boring, and I'm just throwing some ideas out there. I mean, these people would have been sitting down in a boardroom somewhere discussing all of this and coming up with some concepts. So, and also what probably would have happened, and this is what Michelle Clapton did and which most designers did, they would do what's called mood boards, and they would come up with every character. They would come up with what they're inspired by. And if you laid this all out on a table, I'd be like, really? Like, that's what you've come up with? That's pretty boring, So it kind of falls under the fault, in my humble opinion, of the showrunners, not just the design team.
People saying the bikers wear more jewelry. Rap stars wear more jewelry right now. Yeah. I got more jewelry than these guys got, and they're supposed to be the kings of this world. And so I would just like to see, this to me, that's what royalty does. You put it on, you show how rich you are by your jewels and everything else. And it's like they have none of that at all.
Maybe there'll be something exciting, like Daemon will take off his coat and on his back he'll have a giant tattoo sigil, like all across his back, into his shoulder blades. Maybe there'll be something cool like that. But I don't know, Tatiana. I don't know what to think. Or maybe he'll have rubies.
I would love there to be a scene where he takes off his clothes and he's just like full Targaryen dragon shit that he got while he was pirating his way through the stepstones, and like the tail and like it goes all the way down his booty, and the tail, the dragon wraps around his thigh. Like what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Or he has his nipples pierced with like rubies or something, something crazy like that.
We have another super chat from Jen S. Thank you so much. She says,
or you can have his nails polished. You can have his nails polished, like, or have like rubies like embedded in his nails.
You know what would have been like groundbreaking? A hat.
We could have had a hat, for the love of God, like that plume one that Tony showed a picture of. A hat would have been fantastic.
It's something
different. A jaunty hat.
It could have been shaped as a dragon. I don't care. They could have did something with it, and there's something different out the box. Jenna says, I wonder if this could be the funeral scene and thus intentionally draped. It definitely is the funeral scene. Without a shadow of a doubt. I think every YouTuber, as soon as they seen it, figured that one out really fast, that they're at a funeral. But still, when you just looked at the Prince in England's funeral, and you seen what they were wearing on that, they're wearing better clothes now with that than these people were wearing then. So people dress, when people know the eyes are on them, people dress up, because they know that these pictures, like especially like right now, people taking pictures. They know these pictures are going to be saved for the rest of their lives. And when they're dead, there's people still going to see these pictures. So they want to look their best and everything else. Now, we don't have cameras back then, but still, I would think that since they're Targaryens, they want to be as proud as they can, that they will wear their best outfits just to flaunt in front of the other people that are there.
To play devil's advocate, this doesn't seem like a public scene. This seems like a private, intimate scene between Daemon and Rhaenyra. So maybe they just wanted to be more comfortable. But even then, you could have been like more comfortable in a creative way. Yeah. So maybe they didn't want to have like all the bling out to like impress the masses because there's no masses to impress. It's just them
It's
together.
funny though. It's funny though. If it isn't if it is a funeral in universe, the tradition in George's world is that you wear black. So it's interesting then that Rhaenyra is not wearing black, because I mean, not everyone wears black to funerals. Not everyone wears black in mourning, but in universe, like in George's world, they do. So I think that's kind of interesting then, that because obviously Rhaegar's wearing, or sorry, Daemon's wearing black, but she's not. So are we sure that this is the funeral?
I'm pretty positive it's either after the funeral or right before it, but it's on that area. Now, as I said within my video, like, you know, a lot of times, you know, when they shoot movies, they don't just shoot scene for scene, they shoot areas, like, and do all the scenes for that area for all the episodes. So it could be a different scene for a different episode and stuff shot right there, you know, not just the funeral, but it seems like it's the funeral scene. It seems like that's what they're talking about. Or his wife's hasn't passed away yet, and they're on the beach, you know, talking about
They're
it.
plotting. Well, that's what it looks like. They're having a private conversation. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we do know at this particular, we know that this is not, you know, right here. This is them in between takes, and this is the pictures that everybody's showing. They're not, you know, and as you can see from the video, this is in between takes. So this isn't the actual scene of them filming. This is just them hanging out on the beach together. So this doesn't look like it's a, you know, a scene that it is. It's just hanging out on the beach, you know, in between takes, talking to each other. And so I don't think that that this could really be anything that we see in the actual product of the show. You know, so this conversation that they're having has nothing to do with the show. I don't think we'll see anything this dealing with the funeral. This could be the funeral, but they're not on the beach when it's all said and done, because it just seems like they're hanging out here right now.
Yeah, just looking at these scenes, I definitely would have added a cloak to him, and I probably would have added something for her as well. I would have. I mean, I don't know what the temperature is supposed to be in this scene, but I probably.
It looks like the desert, so I'm pretty sure it's hot.
Oh, is it hot?
It's Cornwall. Well, no, it's Cornwall. They're in Cornwall, but it's Cornwall in summer. I mean, I don't know.
But they're on the water, right?
Yeah,
and it's windy. I would have for sure added some type of cloak, mantle, poncho.
Something that like close the wind.
A lot of women are saying they would like to see her with a belt on. She should have had a belt.
Yeah, like one of the things that was really popular in medieval Europe was a girdle, which was like a jeweled belt that then kind of hung down the front, and you know, or you see that in Egyptian women as well. It's kind of like a belt, and then it's got like a little panel that hangs down, and it would be oftentimes jeweled. I think something like that would have been nice. It would have for sure finished it off. I don't know. People are saying that the Targaryens don't have a medal per se, but I mean, you know, I think that they probably would wear. Dany wore silver, but then again, that was a choice that Michelle chose for her because she did the Lannisters were gold, so she didn't want to have them be in the same. So it would have to be, but it could be any kind of, like I said, rubies would be great.
It could be bronze. Where's
bronze?
The bronze jewelry is fabulous. Copper jewelry is fabulous. Yeah. Like corrugated, like a corrugated copper to make it look like sexy Asian shit. Come on.
She could have put pearls on for all I care. Nice pearls would have worked. I mean, anything could work if they just try it. It's not. I don't know if they tried it and they said no or something like that. You know, I have no idea. But from what I'm seeing, it does. I'm excited the show's on, but those outfits that we just seen does not excite me. You know, I'm excited for the show, but I need to see more than those out. We got another super chat here from Jenna. Thank you very much. Says I feel like the characters are very ostentatious, proud, and arrogant. This could be a funeral, but I don't read any of their characters through their clothing, which seems like a miss. Yeah, you don't see the personality of them in the clothes. It's like I said, looks like the same exact thing that Ned Stark was wearing, you know, and you're supposed to be, as I said, the royal family, man. You wouldn't wear the same thing that some other lord would wear. You know, people don't wear the same thing. You never see people show up with the same dress at award shows. One's going home. So, especially if you're royalty, you want to have something much better. So I don't know why they wouldn't put him in something better. And these damn riding boots that just go up to his knees, and I don't know. They could have thought of something else. And
Yeah, like and you know, like I said this in I think my very, very first YouTube video I ever did, that Cersei, like she was the queen and she set the tone for everybody else below her. She's just like, this is what I'm wearing, and you could see all the maidens in the court all followed suit. And obviously Sansa was like, I gotta have that silhouette. She was totally embarrassed by what she was wearing when she, you know, first came to King's Landing, and quickly adopted that style until, of course, you know, they killed her father. But yeah, so you know, you need, like, the queen has to set the tone for everybody around, and then they will follow suit. But she should be the most beautifully dressed, the most ostentatious, the most elaborate of everybody else. And then from there, like we.
And also, Jenna said, like, why can't they dress up her braids? Like, yeah, why can't, like, put some like beads in her hair, put some beautiful rubies, like that donut braid. That is just begging for like a hairnet of jewels, or like just like hairpins all over it. Like,
yeah, like even for instance, Cersei, even when she wasn't in court, she always had some type of tiara stuck in with gems in it. Like, you know, at the joust, she had it at up in when she was up in the North, Winterfell, for the dinner, the banquet. She had it. She had it at John's execution. She always had some type of thing in her hair. And so it's kind of like, again, it's like a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
I feel really bad because we've been just basically trashing this for the last hour.
And I am excited for the show, and like, I don't want to, like, maybe this is a one-off. Maybe this is just like the one costume, and they'll go like batshit crazy with the rest of the wardrobe. But it's like, for our first impression, not the best. And when it comes to a show and a franchise that has been disgraced to the level that Game of Thrones has been disgraced, you have to put your best foot forward.
Yeah,
from the first impression, even if it's a leak, you know, with a show that is in any way tied to a franchise like Game of Thrones, people are going to be frothing at the mouth to get that sweet leaks, because that's what always freaking happens. Like, I think it was like, what, season 6, they leaked the first 4 episodes, and I should know because I saw them, because I was just that bitch. Then I watched the leaked episodes.
They dropped the ball.
But when you know there are going to be leaks, because there are going to be people that you will not simply not be able to say, no, you cannot enter here. They will see something and they will post that on internet. They should know this by now. It has been 10 freaking years. Put your best foot forward and like impress.
No doubt. We got another super chat from Jenna S. Says maybe they'll say most of the Jews are locked up in King's Landing. I wouldn't actually be surprised if Alicent wants to try and ice out looking the part just to spite her. You know, if they did something like that, that would be great. Thank you so much, Jenna, for showing the love in the super chat. You know, if they did something like that, that would be great. But from what we're seeing, and you know, we haven't seen it yet. So let's hope they do that. But we have not seen it yet in the show. And anyone wearing any type of like great jewelry. As you said, Cersei had something in her hair. That bun that she's wearing is begging for a dragon. You could put dragon wings coming out of it, made out of rubies, or something in there. If you have to do the Targaryen, then you could have definitely did a little
like
more
even
with it.
Danny always had like even like a hairpin would had a dragon. She'd have a hairpin in there. Yeah, so I don't believe these are dress rehearsal costumes, guys. I think that these are the real thing.
Yeah, this is it. There's no doubt, because you can see the way they're walking around. They're not rehearsed. They're shooting whatever they're shooting. This is their costumes that they're shooting. But I do think that scene of them on the beach is just them hanging out on the beach. I don't think that's part of the show. I don't think that that's going to be a part of anything. I think that's.
And who knows? Maybe this will be a deleted scene that we'll never see out of the actual show.
We got another super chat. Alexander Wilson says there are blurry pictures of Emma without a coat on. Y'all going to talk about that? I don't know what that picture is. to bring it
Are
up.
you mean that she's not wearing the overgown? She just has the red dress on? Is that what you're talking about, Alexander?
Oh, well, I mean, if you can search for it.
Or do you mean like a coat, like without a?
Yeah, I would have to see. I don't have that picture offhand.
Oh, they
If
in the
I
next
had a
set
picture
photos
of
are
it,
Allison wearing a green dress. Oh, okay. We haven't seen that yet, though. I did see there were a few other pictures where we saw some armor and we saw some, what I call gambesons, which is just basically, I think,
it looks exactly the same too. Though the armor, there's nothing special about that armor at all.
yeah.
And there is a picture of her in it, but you can't even see it. There's no way I can pull that up on the screen, and there's no way you'd be able to see it. She's so far back and it's so blurry. But yeah, the armor that I seen there is the same thing that they're wearing in Game of Thrones. It looks just like Robb Stark's armor.
Yeah, agreed.
Same version. So there's nothing special about that armor either. They could have did, a different type of armored look. They could have did a more armor, like a knight type look, a British knight. They could have did that type of look with it more.
Yeah, again, so many places to pull from, like so many, across the world, so many different types of armor. Like Michelle did borrow some different cultural armors, which were interesting. And again, I'd be like, I was like, oh, I don't know if I really like the Dorn armor, but at the same time, I'm like, but she went for it. She was like,
yeah, you can respect the hustle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's such hard work. And she said, like putting in all those, like the studs, like it was just like the amount of work that went into it. It was just unbelievable.
Like, right now, I am looking at like fan art of Rhaenyra and Daemon, and like what the fans have come up with looks so freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Where are you looking at from?
I'm just looking at like this. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, that's Chili Raven art. She's this amazing artist, and she's come up with some incredible designs.
All right, let me full screen her screen so we can pull that up real quick.
Look at this. Look at this. What can I do like this?
And she's got fur too. Like she's incorporated some fur in there, and like the trims, and just like just beautiful fabrics. Again, he's wearing a cloak.
And he's not wearing like the typical Westerosi men's outfit.
Yeah, he doesn't have the mullet either. All right, so
and she's got that full bosom, right? Like that's one thing that obviously with this actor, we're not going to see a full bosom. She's very voluptuous.
She's supposed to be very voluptuous.
Yeah,
it's like
now is that their coronation outfit?
That's probably, and like this is like they're like a mox.
Yeah.
Like see, and this was commissioned by the author, so it's right. And she's supposed to be more voluptuous, and like so he's depicted her not with white hair, but with almost like a golden color, like golden-ish hair. See.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
So sad.
Yeah.
And here's her in her armor, and look at how amazing that looks.
I'll see if I can pull those up. Who's the artist that did it?
That's I can't remember his name, but it's in Fire and Blood. They had an illustrator that they hired. Tatiana, do you remember his name?
Wasn't it a mock?
No, this is done by the artist in Fire and Blood. He does everything.
Ben Whitley or something like that.
He does it all in pencil. Yeah, that's her on the Iron Throne wearing her armor, which we won't see till later, probably, I guess.
Yeah. But it's like it looks so cool and imaginative, and it's still in keeping with the dragon motif, which is like okay, great.
And she's wearing her crown there too. I mean, I'm not saying she has to wear her crown all the time, but because she's Doug Wheatley. Thank you, the dragon. Yeah, Doug Wheatley is the artist.
I knew it was something Whitley.
Wheatley, yeah. He's on Instagram, actually. So I don't know, Tony. So we've managed to fill in an hour and a half talking about this. Just two looks.
With just two looks, we were able to pull that off. So listen, and I look at these pictures too that they got. They got necklaces on, big necklaces. Alice saying they got huge necklace around her neck. She's got looks like bracelets on her. They have jewelry on them, and they both have. And she has a tiara on her hair. why can't they do that? Why can't they pull that stuff up? But no, we've talked a lot about it. And we're gonna end this right now. And when more pictures come out, I'm sure that Heidi and Tatiana will do a full breakdown on their channel. It's magnificent. Please definitely check them out. Again, let me thank the Dragon's Demand. All those pictures that we showed and the images were all from the Dragon's Demand's Twitter page. If you want to stay up to date on like of the second of stuff, I would suggest you subscribe to that man's Twitter page. He's on it. And he's nice enough to tag me in a lot of the stuff that he does. So
yeah,
I could be up on it too. You know, he's a guy who isn't like, you know, there's a lot of YouTubers out there. I don't want to make fun of YouTubers saying, but there's a lot of people who, you know, try to, I got to be first. And I'm not telling anybody about this information. You know, those are the people that when I used to play video games when I was younger, and they'd say, hey, you want to play me? Like, yeah. And then they wouldn't teach me how to do the moves until after they beat me like 10 times. You know, then you got to do back up to do that. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, okay. You know, but yeah, he's a really cool cat. You know what I mean? And
I wanted to say also, Tony, the Dragon Demands is also the co-admin over on the wiki, the costume wiki on the Game of Thrones costume wiki. So he actually has a lot of insight into the costumes. A lot of times he's sort of disparaging and says, oh, I'm not a costume person, I don't know. But actually his analysis is always really good. So I enjoy it.
And all right, so let's go around. Thank you, everyone who came out here and watched us. Tatiana, thank you for joining us. Can you let the people know your social media or anything that you have that you would like to give out, if there's anything?
Well, I'm usually anywhere Heidi is. I'm like her shadow, her sexy shadow.
She's my associate producer.
Basically, I don't get paid. I'm just kidding. But I'm also on Instagram at Tatiana PR. I don't use it a whole lot, but sometimes I do. But you can catch me there. I keep saying that I might someday, somewhere over the rainbow, do a YouTube channel, but that day has not yet come. Like, there's always an excuse. But yeah, and you can also find me in, I think it's still there, the Game of Thrones costume analysis page in Facebook.
Yeah, actually, and that's something we should probably reopen again too on Facebook. We have a costume analysis, and maybe we'll reopen that up.
Ooh, absolutely.
With a new show. And also Tatiana has a website too, Tatiana.
Oh yes, and I have my blog, TatianaMelendez.com. It's where you can see like all my costume designs and hairstyles and makeup. The makeup and hairstyles aren't as good, but you know, I do what I can.
Well, everybody, definitely check her out. Thank you for joining us here. Costume Co. Heidi, we did it again.
Yeah, Tony, I was saying to Tony, the last time I saw him is when I had Justin and I did the 24-hour live stream. So it was like, oh my God, Tony. But I'm always here whenever you ask, Tony, and you guys can find me. I'm on Twitter. You can tag me if you want. I'm also have my channel, Costume Co. Costume CO, whatever you want to call it. And I'm still, honestly, this is awful. I'm still working on my video about what's it called? A Knight's Tale. So I'm going to get off this stream and try and finish that video. So hopefully you guys will check it out because it's an awesome movie and it's on Twitter or it's on Netflix right now. But other than that, well, thanks so much for having me, Tony.
Look, and OTDA put Tatiana's webpage in the chat. Check that out. Check that out. OTDA is the best. Thank you again for everybody coming up here and watching this and taking their time out your day to go through these costumes with us. And please don't look at it as we're being negative. We're just being honest, and that's all you should really expect out of someone. If they give you your honest opinion, whether you agree or disagree, just respect the fact that people will be honest. You want people to lie to you, and we don't lie to people. So if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this. Please spread this across the realm, and please subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.